Hi, favored ones. Welcome to Soul Talk. Our guest for today is someone really special. She is currently based in Canada. Here's Eileen Sadlon. She is a Reiki Master, a certified Sound Vibrational Practitioner, and a spiritual medium. And we will be having a project together. I invited her here in Soul Talk so that everyone would get to know her in a better way. So let's all welcome Eileen. Hello.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much, Michelle, too, for having me on your show.
Actually, it's
Very
my
nice.
honor. I love it that you're here and thank you for saying yes. So let's go with this conversation, which I've been waiting for several days. So tell me, um, where do you pour most of your energy? What kind of work are you doing right now?
Well, I've been a Reiki Master for about 22 years. I think I'm in 22 years now. And it started a long journey of healing myself. And I was married for 28 years, and now I'm divorced, and I'm loving my life. I have two children, a son Stephen and a daughter Emily, and just grateful for everything in my life, where I am, the journey. Um, my gifts really started when I was a young child. I could always see angels, and I thought everybody could. The Holy Spirit, Jesus, would come to me and talk to me, and I just thought everyone could see the Holy Spirit. So as I grew up, he's always been a huge part of my life, and then has taken me on quite the journey. Um, and then my gifts of being a medium really accelerated probably about 25 years ago, or when I started Reiki. It really started that empowerment process and moving through the blocks. And I found that as a Reiki practitioner, I started seeing things on people, like where disease was, or you just become very heightened and in all your senses. So like smelling cancer and on someone, and being able to help them to remove the blocks if they were open to it. Everything started to really unfold. And I just found that as things were unfolding in my life, I was unfolding in the interior way too. And you never know what avenues are going to open up to you. And as you proceed forward, and then the gifts, the sensitivities, like being an empath, I could feel things on people. I could feel their emotions or their pain. And for an example, sitting across from someone with a broken leg, it felt like my leg was broken. And I was, like that kind of stuff. So it makes you very fine-tuned. I call it a fine-tuned instrument for God. And it was last year I was diagnosed with an enlarged heart, and also an enlarged heart and colon cancer. I went really deep, almost like a deep diving for 8 weeks, and I was able to heal both. And so by the time I was to have surgery, the surgeon did the colonoscopy, found I didn't have cancer. But I worked really hard on the emotions, which then God said to me, I said, okay, God, I said, where do you need me to be? Where can I make the biggest difference? Because at that time I was living in Ontario as of last year. And then God, everything aligned, like from the moving company to closing dates to selling my home in Sarnia to buying a home out here, sight unseen. It brought me on this huge journey. And now I'm living in this beautiful house. I'm doing healing work. I've been asked now to work with Julie and Michelle, and Noelle, which is a huge honor. So thank you so much. But that's a huge part of my journey and how I got here. And I do work on clients, or if I'm doing a reading, I will, because I'm tuned into them, to their soul. I, whether you call it God, spirit, my angels, my spirit guides, the client spirit guides, they're all a team. I call them my team, and they come in and they assist. And people, they're healed. Like I see things on people or inside people where I always ask permission. Do you want to work on that? It's like God takes over, and things, people are making movement, and it doesn't matter what they came through or where they came from or their past. It doesn't determine their future, their present, because everything is a gift, and we're here to create that, and the devastation around us and any fears, you need to really walk through that fear, because when you get told you have cancer, it's like you stop, everything stops in your whole life, and you look at and you investigate everything in your life. And it's like, okay, so I have some choices, because you always have choices, but it could be an opportunity for a lot of spiritual growth. Everything became very divine. Everything. Archangel Michael showed up, my angels, my guides. I could physically see them. I could see them standing in the room. And it was like, okay, so God called me into a different reality. I'm making a difference here in New Brunswick. I feel it. And it's like, and people have that capacity, they can change anything in their lives. It doesn't matter if it's illness or your illness doesn't determine where you're going. And it's interesting, because when I embraced the cancer and the enlarged heart, when you walk, it's like the passage in the Bible. When you walk through the valley of the shadow of death, and you fear no evil, you really do. You don't fear it. And then it's interesting, because when you get onto the other side of that fear, it's like you're free. It's really so interesting. And you become fearless. That whether it's a fearless warrior, that's been my life. I've always walked hand in hand. I've always had a very deep faith, and it brought me to here. And I don't know what's next. And well, I know it's what's next with you, but how, into what capacity? I do believe I had a dream to Michelle about you, and I did. And it's like, oh, I get downloads, like information, like downloads. I get chills. And it varies in the degrees of those chills. Or freezing cold will go through me, and I shake a bit, and it's like I just have to allow that energy. It's almost like an electrical current, and I see this going bigger, because I feel like people are healing, and people are understanding. They're coming into their own knowingness, their own I am presence. And the details, and everyone working together, and it's a huge team. It's a big team, and it's changing lives all over the world. And right now I'm just seeing the word international, because Spirit will show me different words, and they'll be in white letters, and they're showing me international. And it's like, okay, everyone, hang on to your hats, because here we go. and everybody, okay, so what they're giving me right now.
They're giving you messages now.
They are. Is that okay? Is that okay?
Well, if you're comfortable sharing those, then it's okay. We're free flowing here. But you know what what I love about this is that you have a very special gift, and amazing that, just by learning Reiki, everything opened up, and it started because you wanted to do self-healing. It's an amazing journey. You started with yourself, and here you are right now, serving and helping other people.
Yes. And it's a passion for me, because I know where I started from, and it's very interesting. Well, okay, they're telling me I have to go with I have to tell you the dream. Okay. Oh, I got chills. Because we're on a beach. I've never been to the Philippines, but I know I'm going. And I feel like everything, it's like, because we have all worked very hard. You, Julie, Noelle, and myself. And it's like, and I feel they're showing me 2023. Yes, because they're showing me 2023. And I feel like that's when everything opens up. It's like we're doing the groundwork right now, and then everything opens up, and we're helping a lot of people. It's a lot of people, everything is aligning. They're saying everything is aligning right now. You have a lot of spirit guides around you and ascended masters. There's a team of white light beings all around you right now. Oh, okay. And you radiate a lot of gold light, and it's the healing abilities, and that you knew within your own soul's development that it was time, that you knew you had to, that you were being called. See, there was a call that went out upon the earth plane, and it's the light workers, and oh, they're telling me the up and comings. So people that are getting, are waking up, and they want to learn more. It's like, because they're showing me like auditoriums. So it could be like auditoriums can also mean like Zoom and that kind of thing. And people tuning in from all over the world. We're making a difference. It's a huge difference. It's not that we all have to be together in a facility, but it's together online. And that's what I saw. And you're nurturing. There's so many people coming. They're coming from all over, like all over. They're showing me the world. Okay, they're showing me like the globe, and there's going to be many treatment centers opening up. It's about the new earth wellness. It's new earth wellness, and people wanting to heal, people wanting to learn. Number one, they want to learn, because information is, well, it's for their own soul's development. Everything is happening, everything. So we just keep working on ourselves every day, each and every day, which we all do. And we allow the downloads to come in and to move that energy, and we're not in the fear. There's no fear. I'm hearing we're fearless. And we're teaching people how to be fearless, and to really embrace their true selves and their hearts, to come into their hearts. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter people's past. The past doesn't determine their future. And I just got chills. Whew. So that's where I see this going, and new earth wellness, and everybody is getting ready. We're getting geared up, they're telling me. Like we're revved up and ready to go. And anyone that I can help,
that's a beautiful message.
Yeah, and that's what I had a dream. I've been doing a lot of lucid dreaming lately.
Mm-hmm.
And with the new moon, this is such a powerful time. It's such a beautiful, I was out talking to Grandmother Moon last night, 2 nights ago, and just helping to align myself to do this interview, because I'm very grateful. I have a lot of gratitude to you and to my journey, my personal journey.
Actually, now that you mentioned it, I'm also grateful for my journey, because I was brought to this place right now, and I have all these wonderful people around me, including you, Julie, and Noelle, who's also helping me. And I suppose the message right now is, it all begins with us, within you. It all starts there. And when you are so whole, you feel complete, and there's no fear, automatic, you help other people around you.
You do. I had an instant the other night. I knew there was a drug deal that was about to take place outside my home. And it was really interesting. I stood back, and then I hear a spirit saying, go get my dog Ishka. And because I saw him, he just seemed kind of shady. And so he was walking down the street. So anyways, I took Ishka out to go to the bathroom, and we walked by each other. I saw all these angels around him. And and we both said hello to each other. And it was really interesting because I sent him a lot of love and light. And then I came home and he went back to the bench. And I have a lot of I always put healing energy around my home. And I just asked God to bless him, to bless his life, so that if he wanted to make the changes, he could. It was really interesting when standing back and watching it. And I sent Reiki. And then Spirit told me, they said, when you see him again, I'm to approach him and just say hello, and I'm to ask permission to give him a message. And the message is going to be that the other night when I first met him, I saw a lot of angels around him, and I'm to tell him this message: the past does not determine where you're going, your present or your future, and it's a gift. And I'm going to pass that message on to him. But I'm fearless, And I thought, all as it takes is one. It could be a person, it could be an action, it could be just a message, and it can change that person's whole life. Maybe they're waiting to hear that. And I was like, wow, is that ever a beautiful message? Like, that is so in alignment. And that's something I would never do, but I am going to do it because they told me I need to do that. And I feel like it could save somebody's life or his own life. And I just saw this beautiful white light around him. It was so beautiful.
I'd like to ask this for maybe other viewers who are not as intuitive, because with you, of course, you're very much aware not just of the physical world but also of the spiritual world. But for other people who are, living in this mental physical world, what message could you give them so that they would also be aware of messages from angels, because they really are all around us? Sometimes we just need to tune in, but for others, it's inconceivable how it is even possible.
It is. And it's just when you hear that message, it could be a thought that comes in. And that's what happened to me. It was this thought that came in. It was like I could hear it, but it's not physically coming in through my ears. It's a thought that comes in through my heart. And it was when I heard that, it's like you have to tune into your heart. You have to be open, and you have to be, not that you have to be, it's when I'm to give someone a message, Spirit will it's almost like knocking at your door. But sometimes I get physically pushed, like from Spirit. Like I'll feel like I have their hand on my back, and it's like, okay. And I'm like, okay. Or sometimes it could be physical. I mean, like it could be, okay, maybe this might help your viewers too. My daughter and I were in Chapters one day, and we were going to see Sylvia Brown. I was going to be seeing Sylvia Brown. She was a psychic. Anyway, in Toronto, actually. And we walked into this Chapter store, and all of a sudden I had chest pain. I thought I was having a heart attack, and I could hardly breathe. I was like, I said to my daughter, I said, get me out of here. I can't get out of here. You gotta get me out of here. And anyway, and then I saw psychically, I saw this woman's husband standing right next to her. And I said, oh my goodness, he's standing next to her. She goes, Mom, you have to go up to her and deliver the message. And I said, but then I heard her tell her friend, she said, I won't believe anybody's message coming from my husband if it doesn't come from Sylvia Brown. Well, she already shut it down. And I said, Emily, I can't, she won't believe me. She'll think I'm fake or whatever. And she goes, but Mom, if that sounds like feels like you're having a heart attack. I said, I know. And the lady even mentioned that she missed her husband so much when he died of a heart attack. So, and I could physically see him. So never disregard the message, like never I had to leave the store. My daughter had to take my hand because at that time it's like I'm really right brain and it's I can't, someone has to help me. So my daughter had to take me by the hand and lead me out of the store to get me out. And then once I got there, he left. But it was that overwhelming. So sometimes there's things like that. So she missed out. So with people that have put it out there to the universe that they would like to receive a message from a loved one, don't shut it down. Like, don't shut the message down, the messenger down. It might not come in the way that you want. But then on the other side, for people who are getting messages, if you get called to deliver the message, then you're supposed to deliver the message. And just work with them, like work with your spirit guides and just say, help me to make them open to receive the message. So that's what I would say. I've been reading this book, Ask Your Guide. And so I call in my SOS angels all the time to help me, and they really work. So people, like, if they start using their angels, like they're there and they're waiting. Like I just see them doing like this, like, okay, when are they going to ask us like this?
That's true. If humans don't ask, they cannot move at all.
No. And so I ask them every day. When as soon as my feet hit the ground, I'm like, okay, my spirit guides, like, help me out here. What's my day going to look like? What endless opportunities are open to me now?
Mm-hmm.
But that's how I live my life. That's how I live my day. The miracles that happen during that time period, it's incredible. And the people that suddenly are in your life that day. So when you really open up to all of that, it's like amazing. Your life becomes very magical. And you're no longer living the 3D, you're 5D or higher, and it's incredible.
Was it always like this? I mean, you've really embraced this side, this other reality that you mentioned.
It's a totally different way to live. And I'm not saying that anyone has to have a disease that happens to them. That just happened to be mine because God had to shift me out of where I was. And now I have all these different things happening, and I'm waking people up. Because I asked God, where can I make the biggest difference? And then when I saw that person, that he's just a person with a label, drug dealer, right? It's like he has a soul. It was like in that moment, it was like everything just stopped and everything just started to click. And maybe he was in front of my house just for that reason. Maybe he needed that light, right? It's really interesting when you just step back and everything starts to unfold in your life. It's really amazing. Same with you too, Michelle. It's like you're in it too. I can feel it. Oh, I got chills. You have so much light around you. Like white light and gold light. People, and it's the ones that are waking up and they've said they may have said just, okay, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. What do I do now? It's like, and do you see now those vibrations, those thoughts out there now become a reality for them, and now they'll find you because it's all on the energy, and it's so interesting. You have really high vibrations about you, really high vibrations. Oh, I got chills. You're very connected to the water and to the earth. Yes, you are.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Although, of course, there are times when the humanness would come, would.
It does. And it does in my life. And then I have to reset. I just say, okay, when I recognize it, and that's what people like, that might help your viewers too, is when they notice that they're off kilter, or things aren't aligning, it's like, okay, breathe. And I always tell my cells to reset, rebalance, and realign through the day, through it, when I'm sleeping. And you can, and you're going to get more sensitive. You're going to really respond. Your body's going to really respond to your words. So the actions are going to be, they'll start to notice. It's really interesting. Everything will start connecting. And it's like, oh, wow, little miracles, we'll call them miracles. Little miracles will start showing up in their day. And then they're like, wow, So with that, I can do that. Manifesting. I manifested my home. I manifested everything so far in my life. And this, all they have to do is with a thought. That little seed, it sprouts and it really grows really tall, really fast.
It's
Mhm.
amazing. In your own personal journey, what would you say would be the biggest transformations that you have gone through that, made you who you are right now?
Um, when I left my husband, I knew, it's interesting because throughout my life, I would have visions and I wouldn't see him. I wouldn't see him like I wouldn't see him in my visions. And I said, okay, God, I don't know what's up here. This this started about, I don't know, 20, probably 30 years ago. No, I would say 20 years ago. And I said, why am I not seeing him? Is he gonna die? Is he where, I always thought we'd stay together forever. And then it was just things that we had gone through. Um, and and then and then and then when we split up, I was like, oh my goodness, I saw this like 20 years ago. And it was shocking, but it was my reality. And that created such growth for me. I was like at the bottom of the barrel. I was on the floor. And I had to keep rising up. And I would tell myself every morning, okay, today's a new day. Endless possibilities are coming your way. And I would do affirmations and say them. And I I would go to full moon ceremonies with Indigenous people. I was studying with them. I learned a lot, loved them dearly. And I had to get up every day and I had to tell myself, okay, you can make it through today. I mean, I was going like second by second, minute by minute through that journey. And I learned so much about myself. And I really started to feel empowered. And then it was, I lost my brother. And then through that, then I was diagnosed with cancer. It's like everything stops in the moment when you receive that cancer word. And so I would say those three, yeah, my marriage ending, my brother dying, and cancer. Those three major things that impacted my life. Could have taken my life, but I chose to rise up. I saw the horrified look on my daughter's face and I said, okay, I'm just going to embrace it. Whatever happens, happens. I let go of it. I didn't have any attachment to it. And I feel like people, like if your viewers, they don't have an attachment to it. When I look back on it, I didn't have an attachment to the cancer and that I was going to die. I was going to live. And I didn't know where it was going to take me. And everything became, it was like being in the twilight zone. And when you're in the twilight zone, it's like anything is possible. Like even when I left my husband, I was driving really fast one night down the road. I didn't care. I didn't have a care in the world. And it's like this wolf came right out of the bush ahead of me, and he stopped and he looked right at me. The wolf is my spirit helper. And he just looked at me and I received the message and I was like, okay, I'm meant to be here. I have to stop. And I went down to I went and I got a tea, and I'd phoned my friend and I said, do you want anything of my possessions? I didn't realize where my headspace was at that time because I was so sad. And I was going to the beach. My head was, I'm going to the beach. But in the meantime, I'm doing these actions without even realizing I'm doing it. And at that time, I didn't even realize I was out of my body. But when I got my tea and I phoned my friend and she goes, where are you right now? I said, oh, I'm going to Kincard and I'm going to get a tea and I'm just going to go to the beach. Well, she goes, okay. She said, I want you to phone me when you're going home. And I said, okay. So anyways, I go to the beach and I'm sitting on the bench and everything became very divine. And Eckhart Tolle, what is it? The Power of Now.
Yes.
I could see Eckhart Tolle, because now I'm in that very high spiritual awareness, was sitting on the bench next to me, and he goes, little one. And I said, yes, sir. He goes, look at the waves. It was really calm. The waves were really gentle that night, the ebb and flow and ebb and flow. And he said, I want you to watch the waves. And I said, okay. And I felt like a little girl back that I was a little girl again. And we're watching the waves, and I just felt my body come down, like calm down. And then he said, I want you to go for a walk. It was a boardwalk and had the beautiful trees. Dr. Yasui from Reiki came in, and he said, little one, walk with me. And he would always walk with his hands behind his back. So now I'm walking with Dr. Yasui. We're walking down this boardwalk, and he's going, I want you to hug the tree and tell me what you feel from that tree. And I said, okay. So I went and I put like heart to heart to the tree. And he said, I want you to lean your cheek against the tree. And I did. And I could feel the tree grounding me, instantly grounding me. And then when I was grounded, he goes, okay, little one, walk with me. So then we walked down to where the roses were. And he goes, it's not a race. Life is not a race. And I was like, yes, that's right. It isn't. And he said, you're missing the beauty. He said, look around you. What sounds do you hear? What smells do you smell? So I was like using all my senses. He had me using all my senses. And he said, touch this flower, and I want you to smell it. So it was a rose, and I smelt it. And I was like, oh, it just smells so beautiful. And he said, take in the air. So he's going through all the senses with me, and he's grounding me. And he says, okay, let's walk back. And then he told me, he said, I am your father. I am your father, little one. And I said, thank you. I said, I really need this. And he said, now it's time for you to go home. And I said, okay, thank you. Thank you for being with me. And I honored him. I got in my car, I phoned my friend, and I said, okay, I'm on my way home. And anyway, an OPP officer, Ontario Provincial Police Officer, followed me all the way home from Kincardine to Port Elgin, right to the place I was living in. And I phoned my friend and I said, did you call the police? And she goes, no. But she said, I prayed. I said, okay, I'm home safe. And that was a very divine experience when I was so, so sad. So do you see how there's like increments in your life where things, they don't make sense to you, but when you look back, and that was so divinely guided. And you know what, if they really opened up and really knew what was out there and the help that's out there that we can't see, but we're in that high elevated state, you don't realize where you are, and that's when they come in and they help. I mean, they physically showed up because I was walking. I was walking. I could touch Dr. Yasui. He was walking with me. And, when you really embrace who you are and, you embrace Reiki, if you're trained in Reiki and you really embrace it and step into it, those gifts get accelerated throughout your mind, your body, your soul, your spirit. But I didn't know I was in that deep despair, right? And so many people have been there and are there. And it's just about, well, it sounds easy when I use the word surrender, but I mean it with my heart. Like when you surrender your will and everything becomes magic.
You mentioned earlier about the heart. Could you share how important it is that we open our hearts, or at least tune in to our hearts rather than the mind?
It's so important to tune into the heart. It was something that I had to really, really learn. And I struggled. I was like a normal person struggling with opening the heart because, when all these things are happening to you and the pain and the sorrow, and you do get in your head, breathe. You have to use your breathing. You have to use the breath. And it because it will take you out of your mind, because the neurotransmitters in the mind are like firing when you're in your head with the ego mind, and it causes that chaos. They're telling me static. And you just breathe and you just slow your breath down. And it's like, whew, put your hand on your heart and feel that heart, feel your heart beating. A tree, you can hear the heartbeat of the tree. You can feel it when you're heart to heart with a tree. And grounding. It just also means that you're not grounded when you're so much in your head. Are you grounded? Do you feel safe? Do you feel secure? All these different words and actions come in, but really when you focus in, it's your ego. It comes in through the back door. You think you got something, right? You think, oh, wow, okay, I'm not an ego. I'm not egotistical. But really you are, because it came through the back door. And I just, The Power Now, I read that book 5 times. And just to ground me, to help me. And because you see something different, something else will pop out at you every time you read a book. And it because it does create a little bit of growth the first time, but the second time, holy Hannah, it really creates a lot of growth. So that's what I did. It was like, okay, so I'm self-aware now, where I realize that if I'm in my head, if I am an ego, and I have to get back into the heart, so I breathe. And I just, I breathe, and what sounds do I hear? And then I feel myself coming back into my body and being back into my heart again. And singing. Oh my goodness, sing. Even if you can't sing, you sing. And also
Really opens up the heart.
it really does. It really does. When you sing, what happens is, yes, it does. It opens up the heart, and then it opens up the throat, then it opens up the pineal gland, and then it opens up your ear chakras. So now it's like, oh, wow, this is who I am. And also, they're telling me stomping my feet really helps. It's like, okay, whew. It's like the energy is moving then in the infinity symbol. That's what happens with me. But and even before I'm going to do a reading, I always pray, but I dance and I sing. And I always ask for the person's highest self, highest potential. And I just ask to be downloaded the information and that's where I am in regards to that person. But yes, I do a lot of that. And meditation, I do that every day. I meditate every day. And here's another.
This is a life of faith, right? Living in faith.
It really is. And also what I learned, like, especially through cancer, so I went on YouTube, and I always go with what my let me see, my I am presence needs at a particular time. And I was doing a lot of quantum jumping, so into different realities, dimensions, because I needed that healing from those different realities, especially when I was dealing with the cancer and enlarged heart. And that's how I healed. But I would go in and I said, no, I can do this, because it's the mind over matter too. And if someone is supposed to, if they're called home, then they're to go home, like it's their heavenly home. But that's what I do. But they're telling me I need to share this with you too, with your viewers. After a year after I left my husband, my friend and I, we went to Cuba, and we got caught in a riptide.
Oh.
We got caught in a riptide. We almost drowned. And even though we were in like waist high water, but it was at 7 o'clock at night, we didn't know about riptides. No one had told us that. Anyway, we were caught in a riptide. Oh, it was, but I saw gold light. Like my head was faced towards the west, which means I was going home. I was going to die. And I just surrendered in the ocean, and I saw this huge ring of gold light. My friend Ronnie, she was fighting for both of us. Everything became very divine. My spirit name is Mountain Rivers Woman. And so what happened is my head was turned towards the west and the waves were just crashing. And it's really interesting when you're going to die, this peacefulness that comes over you is a peace that I've never felt in my life. You don't think of anyone, nothing. And I saw it encompass the mountains, the ocean. It was huge, this big golden ring. And I was going. And this love and this calmness came over me. And then I just totally surrendered everything. And my friend, she was screaming and yelling to try to get help. And she called me by my spirit name, Mountain Rivers Woman. I snapped out of where I was and I looked out and I said, God help us, God help us. And she was screaming at me to grab her hand. I'm not kidding, it still gives me chills. She grabbed my hand, she grabbed it like this, and she turned it, and then she grabbed my wrist, and she goes, I'm not letting go of you, because I was close to going under the water, right, to die.
Mhm.
She grabbed my wrist, and she goes, we're fighting, we're not dying in Cuba. And she just kept screaming it, and a security guard, he stripped off his clothes, came in, and she goes, grab her. And so anyway, he grabbed me, and she latched onto him, and he pulled us out. And I'll never forget that. But that's when everything also changed my whole life. Because, but that peace, it was a peace. And people, like, they need to know there's peace.
That's
They have to go
beautiful.
into their heart. Yeah.
Yes, that's
Sorry.
beautiful. That's why, every time someone would share that someone has passed, I know deep in my heart that it's a peaceful passing. The angels are with them. Their loved ones are also with them. It's not even painful.
No, it isn't. It isn't. No. And you just find your peace within. And again, that was another big thing that affected my life. I said, okay, I'm still here. I'm still here. Okay, I don't know where you're going to put me, but, and then the journey again, now it's like a reset. And now it's like, okay, here we go. And now into New Earth Wellness. And it's beautiful. We're changing lives.
You know, where is God in all of this? In your own personal journey? How is your relationship with God?
I turn to him every day. I thank God every day, even for the challenges, because that's where you're learning. That's where your soul's learning the most growth. I just thank God. I always say, God, thank you so much for all my challenges, my obstacles, because how do you maneuver around the obstacles? How do you maneuver through the challenges? Because you can't go around them because they're going to stay there, or certain people are going to keep playing their role, but with different masks on. So you go right through it. And that's what I learned. It's like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to embrace it. I always use the word embrace because that will get me through it. It has no attachment to anything. I just embrace it. And I always ask, okay, I call in my guides, my angels. I'd say, okay, God, now where? Where do you need me to be? That's how I ended up in New Brunswick. And it's beautiful. I'm so grateful every day. I wake up with gratitude in my heart every day.
That's amazing. That's really amazing. What could you share so that others would also have this kind of happiness? Wherein they're just so aligned with God and tuning into all the help that is around us.
You're always, I know for me, and even clients, I'll just say you put one foot in front of the other And I don't look back at the past. The only time I look at the past is if I need some encouragement to move forward. I use the word, I really embrace encouragement. And I just know I'm going to get through it. I know I'm going to get through it, and I have to, I just keep going, one foot in front of the other every day. I just have to blow my nose. Is that okay? Can we just pause for a
Yes.
minute?
Of course.
Thank you.
Okay, and we're back. Actually, before we started, I was surprised that my nose was getting clogged, and it's like the energies are so strong. But it's okay. We can move through this.
I know some parts of my life still I get teared up because they were very magical, and I'm just grateful to be here still on the earth plane. If you're meant to be here on the earth plane, everything is going to work out. Sometimes we just take different pathways. And I don't know, you have to see, it's following your heart and following your thoughts, like your thoughts, like those healthy thoughts, like those little messages that come in. Journaling will really help you get into your heart space too, because you're seeing those words on paper, and then you read them. So then your voice, right? Because your soul, now you're writing it, but you're writing it from the heart. Like you could write a lot of anger out, and that's really great, because anger is a healthy emotion. To me, it's a healthy emotion because you need that to push through that challenge, right? That is in front of you. So it gets you fired up in order to push, right? It's like you're pushing that out through your root chakra, and it gets you to the next part of it. And then the anger dissolves. And then it pushes you, it just keeps push, pull, but it keeps pushing you ahead. So yeah, that's what helped me.
And that's something really powerful. There is, I know other people who try to avoid being angry, but there is such a thing as righteous anger. Sometimes it's okay. It's really okay.
It is. And sometimes like, pounding the pillow. Sometimes if I had to, I don't like hurting trees at all, but sometimes like a friend would be there, but I'd have all this anger inside of me with different things that had happened to me or to my family. And she'd take me out in the bush, and we'd give tobacco to that tree and healing and tell that tree what we were going to use it for. And that tree would let us like smack it, and taking the anger out, and then offering that tobacco again, and for that help from that tree. And I'm telling you, the trees do lend their branches down when you're in that deep grief, because sometimes people have lost everything and but it's really interesting that when you lose everything, it's freeing. But it's so hard to lose everything that you've worked hard for and rebuilding. And it's like, it can take you right out. It can kill you. But it's also, if you call, and then this is, because that happened to me, and I had to rebuild. Not only was I rebuilding my whole life, I was rebuilding me. And I had to, because you have to have a solid foundation. If there's a crack in it, it's going to crumble. So that's what I was, and I feel fearless now. Whatever comes my way, I feel fearless. So, but there was also a freeing in it. I was like, oh, this is like kind of cool, because I didn't miss that stuff after like 2 years. But it was like, I had all these attachments to everything. And it's like, it was almost like it was stripped from me. I was raw. So then I had to rebuild myself. And this is where I am today. And I tell you,
Beautiful.
anyone can do it, because it's when you get into your heart everything aligns. So this is where I am right now.
Yes, and this is what we are all supposed to be hearing. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing something very personal to you and allowing your story to be a source of healing for not just my community, but also for me. And I really, really am thankful and really appreciate this moment with you right now.
Oh, thank you, Michelle. I've really appreciated this too. You're a wonderful person.
Thank
You're
you.
doing great things and for New Earth Wellness too. It's a special time. So thank you for having me on your show.
Yes, thank you so much. And of course, for the favorite ones, I hope that this conversation has also blessed you. And please, Paul, bear with my, this kind of voice. My nose is really clogged right now. But I really, really pray that, this conversation has truly blessed you because it did to me. And again, thank you so much, Eileen. And I really look forward to, working with you, Julie and Noel. And thank you for saying yes once again to gracing um, Soul Talk.
Thank you so much. Well, thank you again for having me on your show. I look forward to working with you too.
So God bless everyone. And if this is the content that you love, please share it to your friends. God